This is Part 5 of Learning How to Dance Part 1 Part 2, Part 3. Part 4 Unpublished, a series where we go in depth to understand what countries need to do to dance, to reopen their economies without new outbreaks. Translations available at the end of the article. New translations welcome. To receive the next articles, sign up here. Countries are reopening. They want to imitate the success of countries like South Korea or Taiwan. We now know they can do that with great testing and contact tracing, isolations and quarantines, by mandating homemade masks, with hygiene, physical distancing and public education. These measures are all extremely cheap compared to closing the economy, but are they enough? Do we also need to keep schools shut? Businesses? Music festivals? Tourism? Are there other measures that are expensive for the economy but necessary to keep the virus under control? The bad news first, we will likely need to heavily slow down national and international tourism for months. Big events like business fairs or music concerts will need to remain closed for now. The good news, we should still be able to travel for one-way or very long trips. There are ways we can accelerate the reopening of tourism. We can probably reopen schools. A clear order is emerging for which businesses should reopen. The most important to keep open are likely banks, grocery, and general stores, and the least important are likely cafes, dessert parlors, and gyms. Okay, let's do this. Imagine that your country has applied the hammer reasonably well and now it's getting ready to dance. Some areas are still in quarantine, but the rest of the economy is slowly opening. Authorities are careful, mask wearing is strongly enforced, all contacts are traced, all sick people are isolated in hotel rooms, and quarantines are enforced by tracking mobile phone movements. Your country now has two goals: protect safe areas from infections coming from outbreak areas. I'll call that prevent seeding of new cases. Prevent these seeds from developing into outbreaks. We can call that prevent spreading. Countries must prevent seeding and spreading. To prevent seeding, you need travel restrictions. To prevent spreading, you need social gathering restrictions. Since most countries are opening their countries and starting to allow social gatherings, it's more urgent to talk about spreading. We'll cover that first, and then we'll explore seeding through travel. The coronavirus favorite events super spreaders. As I've already covered, you've probably heard of the super spreader from South Korea. Source: Reuters. A single person, patient 31, caused over 5,000 cases. That was the vast majority of cases in South Korea at the time. As of the middle of May, this figure still represents over 40% of the cases in the country, not counting all the spreading that might have come from it since. If this person hadn't caused this outbreak, maybe South Korea would never have had one, like Taiwan. You might have heard that this was caused by patient 31 going to a megachurch twice. What you might not know is what such a service might look like. Service at a Shincheonji church. Source: At this church, thousands of people sit close to each other for long periods of time, forbidden to wear eyeglasses or masks, singing and praying loudly. The church doesn't allow them to miss the service, even if they're sick. That's why patient 31 went 2 Sundays in a row to a service while sick. In Part 2 of this article series, I explained how the virus spreads, via droplets and droplet clouds, expelled by coughing but also singing, or even talking. We also discussed how the virus prefers confined spaces shared for long periods by people who interact closely with each other. This megachurch environment met all the requirements that increase the rate of transmission: talking, singing, and being in confined spaces for long periods of time, especially since nobody was allowed to wear masks or glasses. As we have also seen in Part 1, something similar happened in Singapore's dormitories.